I was talking fantasy football with my friends the other day.
Josh?
Wow. Look who's back. Where the hell have you been? At home, sitting in your asses?
Go away now, Josh.
Actually, my name is Alan. I'm a dorky white kid with a Cub Scout bandana on his head.
Bravo.
Echo.
November.
Tango. On.
Football.
Welcome back. I'm Alan Bentley.
And I'm Josh Worley.
You are right. You are. And we are back for another
Did you
week
forget
of Bent.
or what?
No. I just want to make sure that you know you were right. We're back for another week of Bent on Fantasy Football. We got a lot of cool stuff going on this week. We're gonna talk about all kinds of stuff going on around the NFL from a fantasy perspective and from a armchair coaching perspective. Right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So,
not like we'll be any better, but I mean, it's, yeah.
But we definitely won't be worse than some
We
of
won't
the
be
coaches.
worse, yes.
That's for sure.
Or
So,
some teams, man.
Yeah, that's for sure too. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But let's jump right into our the thing we do every week with our drinks.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
You don't know what I wrote on mine, did you?
I don't. So
Okay,
it's
well-
gonna be a surprise.
Well, a good surprise, it could be. So if things
could be.
continue the way they have been going, it could be a good surprise.
All right. So mine is The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, the reason I put that on the can is because we're going to talk this week a little bit about some of the guys that are injured and what you could do, what you could look for, players you might be able to start that you might have stashed away on your bench, things like that to kind of help you through some of these injuries that are going around the NFL.
It's just been ridiculous, these
Yeah.
injuries lately. So
It's crippling my teams right now. It's really
Yeah.
hurting my teams, but
yeah,
some good stuff on the horizon. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. What you got on yours?
my beer. All right, so this isn't like baby names, like popular baby names. It says Caleb, Drake, or Michael. That's not what Alan and I are going to name our baby. We're not asking your opinion, but Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Michael Penix Jr. Which one do you think the Bears will get when they eventually get the number 1 overall pick next year? So yeah, that's the question out there. So because something's obviously got to change.
Okay.
So those are the 3 quarterbacks that could go number 1.
That's the way we're going with this show today. Okay. All right. Cool. Shots fired.
So who do you like? Do you like Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Michael Penix? Or do you not know who any of those are?
I know who.
Caleb Williams?
Drake, isn't he a rapper?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he'd be doing better than Justin Fields at this point.
I got a question. Is that Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan?
Okay, moving on.
Because big difference.
It's not going to get any better the more questions you ask. So.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's pop these.
Let's
bad
pop
boys
these open. All right, so Bears to the number 1 pick overall next year.
So like you guys
Maybe.
like you guys do every week, sit back.
I can't get my beer open.
Sit back,
Pop open a cold one and enjoy the show. I'm thinking maybe Michael Penix Jr. could be the Bears pick
I knew a
next
guy
year.
named Stu Penix once. Did he play? He didn't play for him.
No, he did not.
No. All right.
All right, so what's Gub? Okay, people ask, what's Gub? So what's got us bent? Or what's got you bent?
What's got me bent is that you skipped right over talking about how we want people to like, subscribe, and share. That's what's got me bent.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
No, that's not.
that's not what. Like, subscribe, and share, guys. We got 1 new subscriber again. So
Yeah, thank
at
you.
this rate, what, 52 years or something? Or
Yeah, I mean we're right on the cusp of greatness.
Yeah.
With that 1,000.
Yeah.
I mean we're so close. Just keep sending people our way and keep signing people up. That's what we need.
We'll be
right?
like George Burns' age by the time we get the subscribers.
I'm pretty close to that now.
I know. I'm just trying not to rub it in.
Okay, cool. Anyway, so yes, please do like, subscribe, and share. We do appreciate those of you who have subscribed recently. Welcome to the family, if you will. Anyway, let's jump right into Gub like you were talking about.
Okay. I don't really have anything that's got me bent except that you were right and I was wrong last week. In the fact that the Cardinals were first to win a game over the Bears. So I'm a Cardinal fan. He's a Bears fan. And if you remember last week, both of us were so confident in our teams that we picked the other team to win first.
Yeah. I was right.
Yeah, you were right. That shows how much faith you have in the Bears. But Cardinals trounced Cowboys. So yes, we're 1-2. So that means we'll get the second pick probably 1-16.
Yeah. And we talked about what's got me bent before the show, but what's really got me bent is Chicago Bears. It's just
how could you not get bent with the Chicago Bears?
Yeah,
so
it's crazy. I don't even want to. They're a worse team this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
So that's what's really got me bent. But we'll deep dive into that a little bit more.
We will. And if you guys remember, all last season, Allen kind of came to the conclusion and kind of made peace with it that last year was a rebuilding year. And we're looking forward to the future. But right now, after 3 games,
well,
it's hard.
And I said it before. It's not a 1 year. A rebuild is not a 1 year thing. It's a multi-year thing. And from my perspective, right now, I'd say the Bears are about 4 seasons away from it. But that's going to involve a lot of people going away. So
it is.
But we'll talk about that a little bit more. We do want to make mention of something though in the sports world that is real sad news. Brooks Robinson passed away at the age of 86. In my opinion,
I think he was 86. It was either I think it was 86. I'm pretty sure.
That's what I seen today. He was 86. So in my opinion, the greatest third baseman of all time. When I played Little League, I was a third baseman also, and he was my idol as far as that position goes. So, he'll be dearly missed in the sports world, and I be praying for his family and friends.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was an icon.
Absolutely. So, and I should say, arguably the greatest third baseman of all time, because we had that discussion.
There's a few guys that I probably would have thought would have been better. Cal Ripken, if he played his entire career,
all right, we'll talk about that on our Bent on Fantasy Baseball show that we
which will never happen because Alan hates fantasy baseball or fantasy anything except football. So
well, bass fishing and dog surfing are two of my other favorites. But
yeah. Who you got? Noodle, or do you got
I got Fluffy in the first. We'll talk about
the
that.
First heat. It's dog and heat. Yeah. Well, anyway,
we'll talk about that on our fantasy
dog surfing show.
Yeah,
yes. Blah, blah, blah. And those of you that have watched us religiously, you know that joke. So
yeah. So you're in there. So anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about some of the teams that are having some problems. Some of the collapses that we've seen. Some of the collapses we've seen this week. Start us off, Josh.
Cowboys. Cowboys looked just amazing the first couple weeks. That defense, we talked about it week 1. Cowboys scored 40 points on offense. I think the Cowboys defense, fantasy-wise, scored 39, didn't they?
Yeah.
So just under that. They really shut down the Jets week 2.
Oh, yeah. It was two different teams. Two
completely different teams.
Yeah.
And they shut down the run those first 2 weeks. Now, the Arizona Cardinals, my team, the worst team in the NFL, I thought.
Second worst
now. Ran for about 250 yards on them. They just shredded them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell happened, but the Cowboys, they just couldn't stop them. Josh Dobbs had a 54-yard run, the quarterback. Third string quarterback nonetheless. So
Yeah, it was like I said, tale of two teams for sure.
Yeah.
Cowboys stunned this week by Arizona.
The good news is I'm in a Survivor League, and a lot of people lost that Dallas game because they were 12.5-point favorites.
Man, that's crazy. What about Jacksonville? Let's talk about them a little bit.
I don't know what the hell to think about Jacksonville, man. I mean,
this is so hard for me because I had so much faith in that offense this year.
Well, we still do. We love Jacksonville's offense, and we love Cincinnati's offense. Now, we're not in love with them like we were, but we still love them.
Right.
But yeah, something just happened. Houston is not a good team, guys. I mean, they haven't been good defensively or offensively, and they just shut down Lawrence completely.
Yeah.
Granted, Calvin Ridley has a minor injury. We'll see what happens with that. But Kirk really didn't get involved. ETN was really the only one that had decent fantasy numbers. Oh, and Tank Bigsby, I think, scored again, didn't he?
Yeah. Tank Bigsby, I'm not big on Tank Bigsby. Excuse me. The reason I say that is because I think until something happens to ETN, which could be the case, hopefully not, but or for some fluke happens, he's going to be sitting in the back seat.
And that's my point. When Tank Bigsby is scoring, something's going on with that offense because Tank Bigsby should not be scoring touchdowns on the regular.
No, he should not. Not even as a touchdown vulture, as we say in fantasy world. Not even in that capacity. So
yeah, so Jacksonville, I mean, they got all the weapons they need. I mean, Calvin Ridley, who knows if he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks, but they still have all the weapons they need. They have an amazing quarterback.
And I said this last year about them too. They have a lot of weapons. They have all the things that they need in place to make a great team. But last year they didn't put it together, and this year so far they haven't put it together either.
Right.
It's a huge disappointment for me from a fantasy perspective because I had a lot vested, as you know, in Tyler Lawrence and Christian.
Trevor Lawrence, you mean? Is Tyler his brother? Or?
No, I'm sorry, Trevor Lawrence. I just called the guy that I work with. His name is Travis. Trevor. I called him Travis. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great. So
he calls me those different names, guys. So.
Yeah, I call you a lot of names that you don't know about too.
Yeah, like Honey Bun and stuff like that. So yeah, that's not one of them. But
not even close. Anyway, so what were we talking about? Football again?
We're talking about football. Yes.
Yeah, so let's move on to Cincinnati. What's going on in Cincinnati?
You know what? I have faith again in Jamar Chase. He caught 14 balls or 12, something like that, for 154 yards. Didn't score a touchdown, but Burrow didn't have a passing touchdown, and they really didn't need to against that Rams offense that just was horrible. So I don't know. I'm getting more confident. I think Burrow is still dealing with that injury. Okay,
I think it's going to be a nagging injury. When you get into a situation where anything with your legs, basically from the hips down, well, actually from including the hips down, it's going to be a nagging injury throughout the season. You gotta really struggle to get through some of the injuries.
Yeah, and I don't know any position more so than a quarterback, maybe a field goal kicker, but than a quarterback that needs to plant his feet more than anyone else. Mm-hmm. One thing though, Burrow could have had a big game. T. Higgins looked like Marquise Brown of a couple years ago. And Alan and I make this joke all the time when we watch football together. Mm-hmm. It was Burrow's fault because he threw it right in T. Higgins' hands. How do you throw it right in the hands? I mean, how do you expect them to catch it when it's right in their breadbasket, right in the hands?
Now, Cincinnati's got really good wide receivers. Okay, everybody has a bad day. They're having a bad season.
Yes.
Three games into it, they're having a bad season. In Cincinnati, to me, it boils down to one of three things. I told you about this before. It boils down to either plays, how play design, execution. I did it again. I said execution second. It was supposed to be third.
Yes.
Or what was the other thing that I said?
Oh my God, I don't remember.
Man, what was it? Play calling. That's it.
Play calling. Yes.
Yeah. Play calling is very important in football.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
So looking at that from that perspective, it's got to be one of those three things, right? Well, play design, I'm going to say no on, okay? Because they actually showed how they can move Jamar Chase around to different spots and do different things with him to try to get him the ball, right? Because that's their playmaker. That's their number one guy.
Yes, and if you notice, there was a time in the second quarter there where he caught 3 consecutive passes, and he was lined up out left, he was lined up in the slot, and then he was lined up wide right. He caught 3 passes at 3 different positions. And did you watch that game as well, the whole thing? There were 2 passes that should have been interceptions by Joe Burrow. Now, not only did Jamar Chase was able to break them up, he caught them, and one was like a 23-yard reception. Yeah. One was it the 43, I think, the big one too might have been?
That was the first big play.
Yeah, but Jamar Chase, he is looking great right now. I mean, he was almost a zombie in weeks 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. His route running, God, he fought for the ball last night.
Yep.
And he was amazing.
There was a point right before halftime, I believe it was. I seen a ball thrown to him, and it looked like he didn't care at all.
To Jamar?
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked like he didn't even care. It was an incomplete pass, but it looked like he was just like, whatever. A few plays later, he caught a ball, and after that, and it wasn't a huge catch or anything, but after that, it was like something sparked in him, like I can do this, or we can do this, or whatever the case may be.
And I think it was the one for 9 yards, and he was heavily covered too, so right. he fought all night long for those 12 receptions that he had.
Yeah, he's definitely a wide receiver stud from a fantasy perspective. Joe Burrow is getting the ball to him, but he's got so much talent
Yeah.
there. He's got Mixon. He's got Tyler Boyd.
Boyd had a decent game last night. He had a bunch of catches.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game. But all these pieces to the puzzle get put together at the same time. And again, this is the same thing with Jacksonville. All the talent's there.
Yeah.
One of those three things is happening that's causing them to fail. I don't know which one it is, but they really need to take a closer look at it.
I agree.
Those three things. So all right, now the big one for me, the Chicago Bears.
Okay. Well, you start talking about the Bears. I'll be right back. Okay.
All right, see you in about a month.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go. Anyway, so the Bears. I was saying before, the Bears are probably a worse team now. I don't know what the heck he's doing than they were a year ago at this time. Execution, horrible.
I'm back. Sorry.
They have to have the offensive line to be able to protect Fields. If they don't protect Fields, I don't know what the heck is going on right now.
Yeah, he didn't. I didn't tell him what was going to happen. So, oh man, sorry, I could hardly breathe in that. But yeah, something toxic is. I'm afraid to catch that toxic air because something seriously toxic is going on in Chicago, guys. And that was probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done. But something seriously toxic is going on. We don't know what the hell it is, but hopefully they can turn the ship.
Hold on right there.